See, it's stuff like this that gives me trust issues.
Welcome to the Trust Issues Podcast. We have trust issues with the traditional society-dictated path, with the status quo, with the whole get an education, land a job, and work tirelessly until you're 6 feet under. It's time to upgrade your life with the help of us. I'm Erika.
And I'm Kyle, Auckland. We're a husband and wife duo, but we're also entrepreneurs, biohackers, and business builders.
Every week, we're dedicated to having purposeful conversations with each other and leading experts on topics like wellness, relationships, and entrepreneurship.
Subscribe to Trust Issues Podcast if you're looking for bold topics, honest dialogue, and valuable lessons.
Welcome back to another episode of the Trust Issues Podcast. Today, we're going to have a fun little banter, a little Ask Kyle anything.
Ooh la la.
From the audience. Thank you so much to our IG fam who submitted questions.
Yes.
We're going to give you a little shout out today for asking a question, and we're going to get right into it because this is some of our most favorite episodes to do. We just really like to have this little banter. And
I do. I love these.
okay, first question is from @ClaireForChrist. She said, "What are some tips to involve my husband in my network marketing business?"
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say, I think from our personal journey, I feel like I got more involved with you when you started to take things, not that you weren't taking things serious, but like you really were like, I'm going to go with this thing and I'm going to crush it. And you slowly started to gain some steam and it got, bigger and the community got bigger and, you started making more money with it. And it was kind of like every time you started to hit like a personal goal in your business, you would come to me and show me. And I know there's definitely times where like you didn't, hit your number or whatever you're going for, but like you were very consistent. So I would say to get your husband more involved, really be consistent in what you're doing in your business. Whenever you have even a small win, share that with your husband, because that joy of like, when I would see Erika have a lot of joy in what she's doing, that made me happy. Because it was like, I know for us in our relationship, it was like whenever we were doing something that would like light us up, you want to flourish that. So like whenever Erika would bring a win to me or whatever it was, it would get me more excited. So like try and involve your husband more in the wins and consistency of the business. And I think one of the biggest pitfalls I've seen through the journey is when wives or girlfriends or whatever it may be, they come to their boyfriends or husbands and they're like, they vent and they share the negatives of like, maybe not getting a win or this person did this.
We're just like complainers. When
yes,
you're a complainer.
When you bring that, it's the same thing if,
like of course he's going to be like, this is dumb.
It was the same thing when I would be away at work and I'd come home and I'd vent to you about things. You would literally be like, dude, shut up. Like that. It was like, I had a day too. So like, I don't want to hear... You know what I mean? Like it would just get old. So change that view from like maybe talking or venting maybe some of the negative aspects of your day or problems you're having to not hiding them, but shifting it to sharing wins and the good things about what you're doing in that business. I think that's one of the best things you can do, because when you're sharing wins and consistency and joy and happiness in something you're doing, it's going to be much easier for your partner to like jump on board and be like, oh, this is cool. Like, wow, like I want to see my partner win and flourish. So hopefully that's...
I have a hot take though.
Okay.
I don't think that if he doesn't want to be involved, he doesn't have to be involved.
No, that's a great point.
I think that's another point to just consider is that like, does he want to be involved? Because I think it's really important for each of you to be living in your purpose. And I don't think that every couple are meant to work together.
Yeah.
And I don't think that every person is meant to be like, oh, honey, like, it was your dream to start your business. Was it his dream? What's his dream? Is it to work with you? Great. Awesome. But like he should be pursuing wanting to work with you, not you trying to be like, hey, dude, do you want to like help me out with this? Like if he's not into it, don't make him into it because he needs to have his own purpose and men need to have their own purpose.
Yes.
And if they don't have their own purpose, it's not good for a marriage or a relationship. Yeah. And you just saying, hey, I want you to do this business with me because you think you can grow it more, you can have more money or whatever. And I know Claire because she's in my DM. I'm in her DM. She's awesome. I love you, dude. But I also think that for anyone right now who is listening and you just want your husband to be involved, it's like, well, do they want to be involved? Because if they don't, then they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
So don't try to put them in a position that they're not meant to be in, because it is very important for your spouse to have what they are passionate about. It was your dream to start the business. It wasn't his dream. So just be mindful of that and don't push your dreams on other people.
And I think that literally that was kind of the second point I was going to roll into.
Sorry.
No,
I just hijacked that.
No, you're fine. And that it's literally like, I would say, even if you're far along you are in your journey with this business, it's like, have that conversation, be very upfront. Like, hey, these are the expectations. This is what I want for us and our family. Like, what do you want? Like, it really setting those boundaries, even if you're already into your business, set them now. Like, almost restart, set them now with your husband for the expectations.
That's good. Next question. It's kind of a two-parter. It's from @Mrs.V_Miller. She said, what other business do you operate besides fitness and coaching? And do you have any details on your Airbnb process status, which we haven't publicly talked about that yet. So this will be a little kind of announcement to our podcast listeners that nobody else really knows about Forager's Forest.
Yes, I love that. So, diving into that first part there. So, what other businesses do you operate? Really, it's been honestly fitness coaching. I will say, from what we've built together with network marketing and just some of the other stuff we've done, it has really allowed me, and this is where I've always had so much gratitude for Erika and what she's done, because I was in a season of just running that wheel and never stopping with fitness, and it was burning me out. I was completely toasted. I was losing my passion for fitness and just that profession. So what she was building allowed me to take a step back. And I know that's not everyone's case and situation, but she allowed me to take a step back and kind of refine my passions and what I really wanted to do. So I still do fitness coaching. I have a handful of people who I love dearly, worked with over the years, and I still have that part of my life. And I've kind of, the fire has kind of come back with fitness and working with people. So I'm so grateful for that. And what I think through this journey, just these past recent years, it's like we kind of sat down together and we were like, what do we want to build together? And that was, we wanted to get more into real estate, and that was a big part of it. So buying land, and that'll go into the second part of the question here, but getting into real estate, kind of getting more into investing. What are we doing with some of our money? That's something I've fallen in love with, that piece of it. What else
You've
have we
also done, I mean, you aren't even mentioning, like, you spent, the market's not necessarily what it was, but you spent, like, all throughout my pregnancy and before that, you were doing a ton of trading. You were doing a ton of
I really got into trading.
Crypto. You were doing all of that stuff.
All types of trading. It's funny. You almost like forget, like you like some of these things, like,
You have done a lot of different.
I have. I've dabbled in a lot. I've really fallen in love with trading and investing, like especially trading. I think coming out of that, pandemic years, it was a wild season, and I had some success in that, which was awesome. So I was into that for a little while.
The market's really not what it was.
Yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, that's another topic, I guess. But yeah, so trading, investing, and honestly now it's very much invested into real estate. So I think this will kind of bleed right into the second part of that question. I think I kind of spilled the beans with that online. I was talking about our Forager's Forest, and I wanted to. Well, it's something we've actually been working on this for a while. This has been a family project, so we have over 33 acres in Linden, Tennessee.
Yeah, so it's Middle Tennessee. It's about 90 minutes away from Nashville.
And it's just a beautiful piece of land, and our dream was to set up, we're actually doing this with some of our family members, but it was our dream to set up like this just holistic glamping, geodomes, tree houses, just this oasis getaway to like unplug and be in the woods and get back to nature and just heal. So we've had a couple ups and downs with it, taken a little bit longer than we've, anticipated.
That's life. That's
exactly.
business.
And we knew that. We were not like, oh, we got to have it done by this. But this is like really turned into like a labor of love project. And now it's really finally starting to turn a corner. So We don't have a hard release date of when we're actually opening yet, but I can tell you this, the ball is rolling, and our aim is to...
I mean, I would hope by spring.
Yeah, that's...
By spring 2024 would be ideal, so stay tuned. That's
I
kind
would
of our
say,
target.
yeah, stay tuned, be on the lookout. We're going to be releasing things, talking about it a lot more.
You can follow us at Foragers Forest on
Yes.
Instagram, where we'll post updates, so you can learn more about it there. And as soon as you can start booking, we will post all the details on there.
Yeah. So that's pretty much, I guess, to sum up both those questions, that's kind of where I've been. And honestly, it's this past year I had some other opportunities, and I feel like I've kind of backed away from some of them because I wanted to be there for the first year with my son because we had the opportunity to do that. And I know there's a lot of men and husbands out there that don't get that opportunity. So the past year, I don't want to say put things on the back burner, but like I just wanted to be there for the first year with my son and put so much time into that. And that's been like, I think Erika has really given me that gift, and that's probably the sweetest thing she's ever given me in my life, to be there. And that, I didn't have to be away for many hours through the day to like miss him growing up that first year. So that's like probably the sweetest memory I'll ever have is the first year with our boy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Being
I mean,
dad.
there's so many other things that you are working on too that you aren't even talking about that you'll talk about at a later date.
Yeah.
But
Things are always in the works.
I think what is crazy about our life is that we have multiple things going on at all times.
Yes.
And sometimes I don't even know how we do it all, but it's pretty just true to who we are. And
it's always been
we've got a lot of
a juggling act. It's
Yeah.
always been like, oh my God, some nights it's like, what are we doing?
Well, for me, I love
But
it.
it's
I
exciting.
thrive. I thrive in this environment because I'm like, we're constantly creating fun and new things. And I think what's really cool about being an entrepreneur is that you have no limit to what you can create
Yes.
and the change that you can make in the world and for
Yes.
yourself and for your family. And we're constantly doing stuff. So
And I think that even bleeds into that recent episode where I asked you questions where it's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? This kind of comes back to my question here. And it's like, all of these things are for the next 5 years. Like, we're trying to set some of these things up. So like, come year 5 and beyond, these things are running smoothly and we have these businesses. So we are really putting in the groundwork now to get all these things off the ground so we can be set up in a sense.
I love it. Next question is from @RelatableGranolaMom. And she says, this is a toughie. She says, how can I encourage my partner to take care of himself and man up? I do it all over here.
Whew, it's a tough question. That's something I think just right out of the gate is, have you had very tough, real conversations with your husband? Not coming at him saying like, you need to man up. Because I think a lot of times, and this is something I've struggled with, where like I've felt this in my own life where there was many seasons where I'm like, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the answers maybe I was supposed to have. And I just felt small. And I think when you're in that sense, so I don't know, maybe your husband's in that sense of that area in his life where, he doesn't feel like he can step up. I think there's, some real conversations you might have to have. And, sometimes it's poking the bear a little bit. I know if I've ever been in a certain place where I'm down on myself and things don't feel good and I just don't feel like I can be that person. Sometimes if Erika would not confront me but have a conversation, I'd get defensive right away. It's like a shield. But it was necessary. And I think it's having the tough conversations up front. And then I think if your husband's open to talking about it from that side, one of the best things I did is, connecting with other men. Maybe some older men who have been through things, asking them questions. I think, I have a couple men in my life. One of them, he was a past client of mine. And he's a successful businessman and he's been through a lot. And if I ever had, stuff I was going through and questions I needed answers, I could go to him with some of this stuff and, he'd point me in the right direction or just make me feel like it's okay. Like it's okay to mess up. It's okay to be feeling how you're feeling and, you can get through this and things will be better. I think from the other side of the coin is if you're with your husband and, maybe, I don't know if it is just laziness or just a complete lack of care. That's something I'm not 100% sure I can answer to that because I've never been in that situation. I know I've been down and been going through things and not in a good rhythm as a husband before. And, I've known I've needed to change things And we've had tough conversations and things have changed, but I've never been in that side where like I've just never cared or felt like just lazy and didn't care about our marriage or life.
I think I would just go deeper. Like, why is he not taking care of himself? Why is he not stepping into this role of being the leader? Why is he letting you do everything? Why? What's going on? What is it? Figure that out. Just with curiosity, ask questions like, "Are you okay?" Just maybe that's a question I ask a lot. Are you okay?
No, it is. It's
and
a real
I think
question.
it's just trying to figure out that piece, because I don't think you can get someone to man up or take a role that they, number one, don't want to take.
Yeah.
Or they don't feel capable of taking. So you got to get to the root of it. And I think that's what you're saying, is having some hard conversations. And yeah, I've never seen you be the person who doesn't care at all. But I think everyone deals with things differently.
Yes.
Some people, I feel like when you're in a place where like things are tumultuous or something in our life, you go the other way. You're like, I'll take care of everything and I'll do everything. And you're like, I'm like, sit down, relax, put your feet up for the love of Liza, But I think everyone's different.
Yeah.
Some people completely revert back to just not having motivation to do anything. So it just depends. I would have some heart-to-heart conversations for sure, and I also would see who you can get from like a third-party perspective to maybe chat with you both, a professional, and see if you can get a counselor or someone who can sit with you both and figure that out, because sometimes you need a third party.
Agreed.
Because especially when I think it's a wifey coming to a hubby, I think it can be a little like defensiveness can come up, and that kind of stuff can get dicey, and you want it to be productive, right?
Yes.
So if you want it to be productive, I think you need to be willing to bring somebody else in to the conversation and ask him if he's down for that. All right, great question. Next question is from @Andia Hartland, and she says, what are your top 3 dairy-free protein powder suggestions?
Andia. Top 3.
I think you have like one that you could say is dairy-free.
Yeah, because I know everyone's different, but I definitely am. I take clean whey protein during the day, like after a workout.
I'm really big on clean casein.
Well, I was just gonna say clean casein also, and because casein is a slow digesting protein, so that's great to have at nighttime or just later in the day. So if you're looking for dairy-free options, my go-to honestly would be like a collagen, just collagen-based protein.
Animal-based collagen.
Yes, animal-based collagen, and honestly, there's 2 of my favorites. One is from a company called Primal Harvest. They have Primal Collagen. That's a really good one. Very clean. A lot of good things in there. And then honestly, my number 2, and it's usually my go-to, is from Ancient Nutrition, just their multi-collagen protein. Like, those are 2 amazing options, good for your hair, skin, and nails, and literally everything. So if you're going dairy-free, those would be my 2 options.
Okay, and last and final question is from @Dolly.Mora, and she said, what's your best advice for fellow husbands? Best advice for hubbies, for husbands.
Best advice for husbands. I think the biggest thing that's helped me has been connecting with other husbands who have been through a lot. Finding a network of other husbands who have done more than you, who have gone through stuff maybe that you've gone through. Don't be the lone wolf approach. I've done that and it doesn't work. Best advice for husbands, you're better in a pack. You're going to be a better father figure. You're going to be a better husband. If you are vulnerable with some other men that you really trust and have been through some things, because if you try and keep it all in and handle everything on your own, man, it's not going to work. So I think from a mindset point, that, reach out to other men, find your tribe. And then from another point is like dial in your nutrition, dial in your sleep, and get some movement in every day. If those 3 things, if you're doing that stuff, you're going to overall be happier, you're going to feel better, you're going to have more energy, and you just be a better person, better husband.
Yeah.
I think it seems pretty simple, but it's very real, those things right there.
Yeah, and you make those things a priority, and when you don't, it's a totally different ballgame. Like, you're not okay.
Yeah.
And seeing you take care of yourself, it's like you got to take care of yourself to be able to take care of the family, Yeah. And I think you doing that is a very big game changer.
And I would say one last thing is, this is something that I'm still learning, especially becoming like a new dad here, is like, it's okay if you fail. It's okay if you're, not up to the par you want to be at. Like, it's okay. Keep moving forward.
That's good. We're all failing anyways.
Yes.
So just don't avoid it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so good. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks for listening to the Trust Issues Podcast. We love when you ask us questions. if you ever want us to do another Ask Us Anything, you can just go over to Instagram at Trust Issues Podcast and comment on our recent posts and let us know what questions do you have for us, because we want to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and you can subscribe to make sure you never miss another episode, and we'll see you next time.